Hi, Cynthia. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining.
So let's share a little bit about ourselves. I'll tell you that I'm a senior consultant and trainer for New View Strategies, and I have the luxury, yes, I call it the luxury, of working with users who are frustrated and sitting there saying there's got to be a better way. This system has got to be able to help me do my job in a better way. And my job is to work with those users and help them figure out the righter way. Because you know what, in Business Central, there's usually more than one way to do things. And I like helping users find the right way for them, or the righter way.
And Cynthia, I think you should work on trademarking your righter way term. I really like that. Hi, everyone.
Thanks, Carrie.
I'm Carrie Carrozza, and I'm here with Cynthia today to present. I'm an accounting manager and trainer with New View Strategies, and I really enjoy anything around accounting, finance, and month end. And when Cynthia said that, the accounting team can start selling, I got a little bit nervous. So I'm interested to see what she has in store for us today.
Well, what we have in store is that when we are done with this session, you're going to understand how invoice emails can actually generate more sales. And we're going to go through the steps. We have to do a little bit of work in Business Central. So I'm going to teach you how to go through those steps. You're going to see how easy it really is. And then on top of it, we're going to talk about targeting. So the idea here will be that this is going to be something that you will use regularly, not just a one-time thing. So let's talk a little bit first about email marketing. When I look at email marketing, I look at it in three buckets. The first type of email marketing that most people are used to are reaching out to suspects or prospects, right? Going after people that aren't using your services. These would be what I call cold leads. They're somebody that we're reaching out to through Constant Contact or D365 sales. And these are people that we don't have a lot of information on. Then we have what I call the warm bucket. And these are our prospects. These are organizations or individuals that we know a little bit more about. Maybe we met them at a conference or a convention, and we actually consider them in our sales pipeline. So we're putting a percentage of probability to them. They're somebody that we know something about. And then lastly, and an often forgotten one, is the customers. And when I say forgotten, yeah, we send them emails about special events and that type of thing, but we actually have ways that we are touching them regularly that we forget is an opportunity to basically create more than just a single touch, but actually pique their interest or share additional information. And we can actually do that through Business Central. And that's what we're going to focus on today. So why do I market to new customers? Well, because we may not have them as much as a customer as we want them to be. We want them to become a good customer to us, not just a first-time customer. And getting someone to make that second purchase isn't always easy. And statistically, if we can get them to make that second purchase, they're more likely to make a third or fourth purchase. Repeat customers can also be our best customers, because when I purchase one thing from a place that I'm buying things from, I'm not necessarily going to refer that place to my friends because I've only had one interaction with them. It might have been a great interaction, but it's not enough for me to feel confident enough to refer. But after I've purchased maybe a second or third thing, I'm more likely to tell others about it or refer them to that place to make a purchase.
And Cynthia, when you're saying all of this, in my mind, I'm thinking about Amazon, because I know when I make one Amazon purchase for an item, I get future ads for, hey, here's things from this seller that you might like. And I also get the original seller wanting a review for me, because in today's day and age, word of mouth and reviews are really important as far as repeat sales and new customers.
Exactly. And even, for example, in Facebook, I find that when I've been shopping and then I go to Facebook, I'll see ads for what I've purchased or what I've been looking at. And interestingly enough, I will also see them for technical, Business Central will come up if I've done a lot of searching in Business Central. So that idea of touching that contact repeatedly for top of mind awareness is really, really important. So what we need to do is we need to figure out how to touch them. And again, through constant contact or D365 sales or whatever vehicle we're using will be one of those means. But the other way that we can do that is, again, anytime we're communicating with the customer, because front of mind awareness makes a big difference. Now, this is a little bit in the past. This would have been last fall, but I just was putting together this talk at that time, and I was watching football with my husband. Well, kind of watching football with my husband. And as I was watching it, there were lots of ads, of course, and a lot of the same kind of ads. So you know who's watching football, right? I always kind of find it fascinating to see what is being advertised. And about 3/4 of the way through the game, oh my gosh, was I craving a big, fat, juicy hamburger. Now, I need to let you know that I hadn't had red meat for 2 years, but I just was craving a hamburger like you wouldn't believe. And then it dawned on me that it was because of all the ads for big, fat, juicy hamburgers. So it was a front of mind awareness. So even though I'm sitting there watching this football, I'm getting hungry for a hamburger.
And Cynthia, what football team is your team?
Well, I'm proud to say now the Browns, the Cleveland Browns. At the time that this hit me with this hamburger, I wasn't quite sure where we were going.
Yeah, they definitely had a good run last season.
Yeah, absolutely. Carrie, who do you watch?
I'm a Packers fan, and I have to admit I'm a little disappointed with the outcome from last season, but we had a good run as well. So always just fun to watch.
Yep. But again, it was fun to watch and it made me hungry at the same time. So what can we do to be the hamburger, right? Now, we're probably not selling hamburgers, but what can we do in our organization, in our accounting role, to help keep our product, whatever it might be, to front of mind awareness? Well, guess what? If you're emailing your invoices, you already have that opportunity. So let's talk about some best practices for emailing. Carrie, from an accounting perspective, what's important to be in that email?
Yeah, I'd love to talk about this. So for our organization, I actually am in charge of, putting together the invoices and emailing them out. And I will just say, we're talking here about emailing invoices. In this day and age, I think it's very rare to get paper invoices, but I know that, that still happens. So I'd say the first thing would be, like you mentioned, make sure that if you can, you're emailing your invoices out for quicker delivery, as well as I think it's less likely to get lost in a big stack of papers. So if you are emailing your invoices out, the first thing that you want front and center is you want to show how much is owed. And you also want to show when it's due. So clear and conspicuous, at the top of the invoice or top of the email, show the amount that's due and the date that that's due, and anything else that you want to call attention to for that customer. Secondly, you want to specify how the customer can make that payment. Cynthia, we don't want to make it hard for people to pay us.
Right.
And I know in my experience, if I'm making vendor payments, I've entered all my invoices. It's maybe Friday morning, and I know that I'm making payments. I've set that time aside.
Hello there. We've lost your sound. I believe Mark needs to unmute his
Mark?
microphone.
Yep, you need to unmute Mark. I think more and more people are paying with credit card because they're using it to get points or whatever it might be. So it becomes kind of this hidden source of revenue, right?
Absolutely. And I know for us too, if I see that credit card payment is an option, that's how I'm going to try to pay. As you mentioned, you can get points. It's really easy too, especially if you're using a vendor who's, invoicing site saves your credit card information. All you have to do is go there and click, yeah, I want to pay this invoice. So really easy to do. So definitely include that information in your email so that they can just click and pay. And then last but not least, we definitely want to include a thank you. Tell our customers that we definitely appreciate their service. So for me, those are kind of the most important things from an accounting perspective that I would want to include both on my invoice as well as the email body that's delivering that invoice to the customer.
Well, we are absolutely going to make sure that you can do that. So as you said, we go away from these paper invoices to actually emailing them. And Carrie, what would be really important, of course, is that we make sure we attach that invoice to those emails, right?
Yeah, I'd say in most cases, the customer is receiving an email with an attachment. Right away, they're probably forwarding that email with the attachment to whoever needs to review it for approval. So yeah, definitely, get that invoice on there in a PDF attachment. From an accounting perspective, I'd say that's pretty much what we're looking at is, in the slide before I outlined everything we want on that invoice. And we just kind of want to make sure that we have that PDF attached and we're sending it off to the customer. But Cynthia, I think you have some additional input on how we can make that a little bit better.
Right. This is where we can start selling, right? So we can actually make that email be a little more branded. Most of you are probably including some sort of signature on there that might have your company logo, but we can actually take that a step further and share messages or promote particular events or do something to help drive that reader of that email back to your website, which would ultimately help SEO. Now, you might be saying, well, gee, it's an invoice. The person who's getting this is accounts payable. But Carrie mentioned it might need to be moved along the chain for approval. So even though accounts payable got the invoice, they forward it to the person who made the purchase to get approval. So don't just think that, oh, just the accounting person is going to see whatever you send. There is opportunity, depending on the organization, for others to see it. And then on top of it, don't make the assumption that the accounts payables person doesn't see something and say, hey, Susie, this may be of great interest to you. I just thought I'd forward this to you. So maybe you want to click on the link and sign up for this. Great opportunity and absolutely something that you should be taking advantage of. So where do you even begin? So the first thing you have to do is you have to figure out what invoices you're currently using. So we can do that by going to Report Selection Sales. And in here is where we get the opportunity to indicate what layout we're using, what report we're using, and what layout we're using for the emails. So Carrie, I have you on here, not just for another pretty face, but because you're good with numbers. So do me a favor. Can you remember that report ID?
I think I can do that. I'll try as hard as I can. And I'll just say too, Cynthia, this makes it really easy, this report selection sales window right here, to see what you are using. Because if you're just going to your report layout, report layouts, you might see a bunch of them there and you might not know which one is being used. So this makes it really easy right here.
You're absolutely correct. So we're going to modify the email body template because what we get from D365 out of the box is it's okay. I mean, it's a great place to start. And thankfully, it has enough information on there that it makes the next steps that we need to do easier, but it's not enough. It's just kind of plain vanilla. So what we're going to actually do is we're going to look at what we are currently using and figure out what we're missing, because Carrie shared with us best practices of what should be in there. Then we're going to figure out where we can find the information we need about what is missing. Don't worry, you're going to see this all step for step. We're going to create a copy of the original one that we get from D365. We don't want to modify that one. We're going to create a copy and we're going to modify that copy. So we're going to do that, we're going to export it. We're going to make our modifications in Word. So we're going to kind of walk through all of these steps, don't worry. So how does this work? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to custom report layouts. And we're going to search for a report. And what number was that, Carrie?
1306.
There we go. And so what we're doing is we're looking for the default email body and we're going to preview it. Like I said, we're going to look and see what we have. And right here, you can see we have the due date, which Carrie said was important to be on here. But we also are missing some information. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a copy and we are going to export the layout of the copy because that's what we're going to modify. Now, we're missing information about payment terms. And so what we know is that the sales invoice has the payment terms on it. So there we have payment terms. So we're going to use this document or this layout as a reference for us to figure out where we're going to get that payment terms description from. So we're going to also export that layout. So now what we've done is we've exported the layout that we're going to modify, and we've exported a layout that we're going to use for reference.
Seems pretty easy so far, Cynthia. I think I can handle this.
Good. Now, here's something that we need to do to Word. We're going to actually open the layout in Word. And we have to make sure that we have the tools available to us in Word to modify our layout. Now, there are tools available out of the box in Word, but interestingly enough, they're not showing or visible out of the box. So we're going to actually go to Options and Customize Ribbon, and we're going to make it so that we can add the developer tools so that when we open the layout in Word, we have everything that we need. Don't worry, again, I'm going to show you, but when we open up, we go to File and we go to Options and we pick Customize Ribbon, and you'll see about halfway down on the left-hand side here, it indicates developer and we're going to add it. So let's see what that looks like. So we go up to File and Options. It's all the way down at the bottom. I was really surprised it was so far down. Click on Options, and again, about halfway down, Customize Ribbon. Halfway down again on the All Tabs. You can see here, All Tabs. We need to enable the list of all the tabs. About halfway down is Developer, and we're going to add it. And then what happens is once we go ahead and click OK, you're going to see in our Word ribbon up at the top, right after Home, we have a Developer tab. Now, there's a lot of functionality on this tab. Don't worry, we only need one piece of this, and that's the XML mapping pane. And we're going to actually show you how to use that in a minute.
Cynthia, can I share a really quick tip with you?
Sure.
So you went to File and Options to customize your ribbon, which is definitely one way to do it. One thing I actually will do as well, this will work in Word, Excel. If you go up to the top of your ribbon and you right-click on it, it'll actually give you an option to customize the ribbon. So if anyone doesn't want to go all the way down to the options in their file, because I know I always have trouble finding that too, you can always right-click and customize your ribbon from there as well.
So Carrie, you just taught me that there's more than one way to do things like this in Word, and you showed me what I think is the righter way to go about that.
I love it.
Thank you.
Glad I could teach you something too.
Yeah, hey, we're constantly going back and forth, right?
Of course.
So now this is what I kind of consider to be the fun part. This is where we get to start thinking about how we're going to make this email more interesting. Now, this is something that we can work with our marketing department and have that marketing department tell us where we can get the information. So in this example, we have something up on our website, and every month, this was September 2020, but every month we do a Business Central Mix It Up. So every month, I might want to update what I'm putting in the email. So in this case, I'm very careful about what I'm capturing. I make sure that I only get the graphic. I don't want to have any extra white space. I use Capture as my tool, and I'm grabbing that graphic because it's already out there and marketing said this is what we want to include in the email. Now, I'm going to go back to Word that I had opened up, and I'm just going to paste this graphic right into Word. Now I have a resource to add a graphic to my email, but I'm going to take it one step further. I'm going to put a link on that graphic. So I copy the URL from the website to where that page would open, and I right click and I add the link. So all I need to do is paste that URL into the link address, and now I have a graphic that is linked to that page in our website. Not too hard, is it?
That is very cool, Cynthia. I could definitely do that, I think.
Right, we didn't need a developer and we didn't need the marketing department. Well, wait, I guess we do need the marketing department because they did this in the first place. And by the way, this is a joint effort, right? We need to coordinate all of this with marketing. We're not trying to take their place, but we're trying to help them do their job more efficiently, right?
Absolutely.
All right, so super easy. So I might want to create what I call an arsenal of these links. I could have Word documents where I have the mix it up graphic and a link. I have something about our CPEs and classes, our schedule. You could have something that's about product rollout, whatever it is that you want to do to add an interaction for your customer that will either provide them with additional information, remind them of who you are, or maybe drive them to your website. So you can actually do this work in advance with your marketing department and have them help you build this Word document, or as I indicated, they could say, oh, you can just go ahead and get this off of the website.
And Cynthia, I even think too, you could maybe set aside time, maybe at the beginning of a month for the next 6 months that you could kind of accumulate all of these different pictures with links, create your different templates, and then you have those that you just really need to go to your report selection and pick the different one for the next month.
That's true. You can take it all the way, again, depending on how far in advance you can plan. Now, you need to be careful because you don't want to have emails going out about a mix-it-up event that already happened. So to Carrie's point, maybe you even put something on the calendar, right? So you build this arsenal and then you mark, maybe it's now becomes part of month-end close, right? Your checklist.
Because Cynthia, my checklist isn't long enough already.
I know, I knew you were going to say that. Exactly what I thought. We're
right at about halftime, Cynthia, so we're doing great on time.
Okay, great. Obviously, I was adding to your work, and that's not the point of this, right? We're trying to make this easy. So,
but I'll just say that would be one thing that would be really easy to check off the month-end checklist. So I kind of like that. It'll make me feel like I'm making progress.
Okay, that's a glass half full approach to that. I like that. All right, so modifying the template. The first piece, and we already did that, was to create that graphic with the link. Okay, and then we're going to go, and the next step is to open the layout. We're going to add some XML data, i.e. information that's not on that template that Carrie's told us is important. We're going to insert our graphic, and we're going to save the file. So it's pretty, if you look at it step by step, it's not daunting. If you think in terms of, oh my gosh, I have to do all of this stuff, it might seem a little intimidating, but it really isn't. So what is probably the most difficult part of this is using that XML data link. Fortunately, you are only going to have to do this once, and that's just to get that standard missing information based on best practices. After that, it's really just a matter of changing the graphics. So even though this XML mapping is a little more difficult to do, it's very doable, don't worry. So if I look at this document here, this is the sales invoice that I saved. This is the layout open in Word. And you can see here the payment terms description. It's telling me the name of the field, which is, nicely enough, payment terms description. So how do I get that added? Here I can see my due date, and I want to put the terms description underneath the due date. So I can do that by going up to my table design and layout and just adding or inserting a row below. Now's where I get to use my developer tab. So I'm going to open the developer tab and I'm going to select XML mapping pane. And what that's going to do on the right-hand side is that's going to open up a list of where all the fields are. And I have to pick the right one. And in this case, if you always pick the last one on the drop-down, it will give you what you need. So in this case, it's information from report 1306. Now, as I scroll down and I look, you can see there's a lot of fields here, but they are always in pairs with a label and then one without a label. So the LBL means label, and then the one without the label is the actual data. In this case, I'm just going to insert as plain text the description. I'm not worried about adding a label. People are going to know what my payment terms description means. I don't need to clutter it up with another label. Now comes the fun part. Now I'm going to add my graphic. So I put my cursor right below the payment terms description. I go over to my Word document. It's as simple as copying the graphic that I created earlier with the link. I go back to the Word document that's my layout, and I paste it. And voila, I now have an email template with my payment terms description for Carrie and my graphic for marketing. I'm going to save it, and I'm going to save it as something that makes sense, because if I'm going to be creating these regularly, I'm going to have many of them. So I'm going to call this my email, my invoice email, mix it up for September, because then when I see this template, I'll know exactly what it is. So here we go. Marketing, selling, I guess.
Looks good to me, Cynthia.
Excellent. So let's take this back to Business Central. We've been working in Word. We used the developer ribbon that we added. We used our graphic that we created. So we updated our template. Now it's time to update the report, and in the process, change what we're going to use for the email body. And then we want to test it and make sure it's working properly. So how do we do that? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to go back to where we exported from, which is the custom report layouts. We are going to search for
1306.
And we're going to look for that copy that we made. All right. Now, I'm going to go ahead and rename the copy right now to indicate that this is going to be my email body for the Mix It Up September, because that's what I'm going to be importing and replacing what was here. So to do that, I go up to the Assist button and Layout, and I select Import Layout. And I'm going to choose or browse to select that template that I had just updated. Now, if I'm testing it, I don't have to update the layout right away. I can actually preview it here, but I'm going to go ahead and update it now. And this is the part that a lot of people forget to do. Just because you imported it doesn't mean the system's going to use it. You actually have to update the layout. So let's test it out. We're going to go to Report Selection Sales, and we're going to make sure that we're picking the invoice here. So we're at that 1306. And we have to change the email body to our one that we just created, the email body Mix It Up September 2020. So now whenever I send my sales invoice, it's going to use that updated layout for that body. So let's see what that looks like. So when I click on one of my invoices and I select to send, I have a default sending profile that prompts me to look at the email, and this allows me to see a preview, and look, there's our net 14 days for our terms, and there is our graphic. Now, maybe this particular email, I don't want to send it to this person. So what I can do if I want to is I can change the message content away from the email body and just make it a custom message. And I can type in here whatever I want. So now they're not getting this template email. So maybe when I'm resending somebody an invoice, I don't want it to be the standard template. I want to type in there, this is a resend of an invoice you previously received. Otherwise, if I just leave the default, it's actually going to send the email with that email body. Now, we're going to wait a little bit here for that email to come through. And what I really want you to understand is that this is that opportunity that we're looking for to touch those customers, to have something that is special. It's just not a plain ordinary email. So you can see here, there's the link, right? The hyperlink. I click on that and I have now driven this customer or this user to our website. Pretty slick, isn't it?
That's pretty cool, Cynthia. I really like that. I could definitely see us using that as well.
Well, good. And we'll just point you to the website, right, for the graphics?
Yep.
All right. Now, one of the challenges that when Carrie and I were putting this together, Carrie brought up that we might have situations where somebody shouldn't be getting that email body, right, Carrie?
Yeah, let's say that our Mix It Up event was actually an in-person event. We would probably want to send that email body with the Mix It Up advertisement to maybe all of our local customers. We know that they'd probably be, able to join the event more easily. But maybe we have a customer in Denmark who is probably not going to come all the way over here to join our Mix It Up in-person event. It would be awesome if they did, but probably not. So
you never know.
That is true. But what we probably want to do is, instead of sending them the Mix It Up email body that we're going to send to the majority of our other customers, we can actually set that Danish customer's email body back to the default one. So we're going to walk through a little demo on how exactly you could do that. So on your customer card, this is our customer in Denmark, we're going to go to Navigate, and we're going to go to Document Layouts. And in document layouts, what we need to do is we need to specify what type of document we want to use it on. So we know that this is going to be for the invoice based on everything else Cynthia showed us. And Cynthia, what's the report ID?
1306.
Awesome, thank you. And you claim you're not an accountant. All right, so we got our sales invoice right here. And we can see the caption is telling us this is indeed the sales invoice. If we go to our custom layouts, we can select, we'll say the red, that's the email template that is the default template. Or I'm sorry, this is our invoice that we use for our Danish customers, we'll say. And what we can also do is we can specify, if it's different, who do we want to send this email with the invoice to? So you can either type in an email, or you can select email from contacts. And you can select multiple contacts in here. So if I hold down my control key and I select Carrie and Jim, I can insert both of those at the same time. So I press OK.
That's a great little tip, by the way.
Yep. Hold down control.
Yep.
And
now
you can
put
see
two in there.
Yep, exactly. So now if we want to use this for the email body as well, we can select this little checkbox here, which I'm going to do. And then once we've selected that, if we click on the email body layout description, I can select not our Mix It Up, but our default email body that will not contain the Mix It Up image. So that's the one that we want to send to our customer in Denmark. So I'll select that default email body and I'll click OK. And now we have this set up for the next time that we send an invoice to this customer. It's going to use the email body that we've specified here in this document layout.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, so it's nice and easy to set up. And, as Cynthia mentioned, with even editing your invoice layouts or your report layouts, it's just a one-time thing. So we've set it up here and we shouldn't need to worry about it going forward unless something else changes.
Yeah, and you might even find that you have different market segments. So you could still have marketing emails with graphics targeted to different types of customers. So if you had a way to define customers to a particular business unit or territory, you might have multiple marketing emails that you're using and assigning to those different customers. That would be a reason to update a single layout regularly. So for example, in that case, rather than naming it Mix It Up September, I would call it Mix It Up. And then I would just keep updating that same layout because I wouldn't want to have to go to all those customer records every month and change them, right?
Yeah, very good point, Cynthia. Definitely an efficient way to do it. And I'll just let you know we're at about 35 minutes, so we're still doing great on time. I know we got a little bit more to share.
Well, you know how it is with these conferences. We've got to keep on our time schedule.
Yep.
So we're talking about more effective emails, right? So if your invoice emails generate sales, does that mean your accounting department is selling?
I'll just say, Cynthia, I never before thought of myself as a salesperson. You know, I purposely always tried to probably avoid those types of conversations. However, based on everything that you've just showed us, you know, putting together those email body layouts with the links, that's pretty cool. And I would say that that's definitely something that I can do as an accountant to help, you know, our marketing and sales department. So right. I guess so at least, I can consider myself a salesperson.
Or at least supporting it, right?
Exactly.
Excellent. So how did we do this? We did it in 10 steps. We used screen capture to create our pictures and saved them to Word. We grabbed the URL from our website and added the hyperlink to the graphic. We exported the custom reports from Business Central for the email body so that we could modify them. We opened them up in Word. We pasted the graphic into the layout. We saved our email body layout. We went to the custom reports. We renamed the layout so that we knew what it was. And like I said before, maybe we just call it Mix It Up and we keep updating that one layout depending on what we have to do with custom report selections for customers. Or maybe we name them each individual month. You need to do a little planning there. Import the layout that we just modified, update the report so that it uses that layout. Again, we might not want to update it right away. Maybe we want to just preview it. But once we update it, it will become the layout that is used by the system for that report selection. We go to report selection and we make sure we select that layout for the email body. There's your 10 steps. So again, if you take it step by step, and just complete each step before you worry about the next one, it's not overwhelming. If you look at it and say, oh my gosh, it's 10 steps, it uses all this technology, you might intimidate yourself, so don't do that because it really is that easy. So Carrie, do you feel like you could do this?
I do actually, Cynthia, and I love that you've laid it out step by step. I also think, you know, after doing this once or twice, following your steps, I think it's going to become really easy for people to do. You know, they'll become comfortable with how exactly things work. But I love that you've laid it out here for people to be able to try it themselves. I think I'm going to try it myself, actually, too.
Yay! That was the whole plan. So I want to tell you that I am including some reference materials here. But if you notice, they're all on docs.microsoft. And one of the benefits to that is that because we provide these links, it's going to be current. So if any changes are made to this functionality or any enhancements, by using these links, you will get to that information. And Carrie, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think these are links that really make it also easier to do in addition to the material that we're providing.
Yes, I will say, first of all, I love docs.microsoft when I'm, you know, trying to learn little things or teach myself something maybe I don't know, or just find more information on something that I'm doing in the system. But I've been to these links that you have here, and they have some really great information on the report layouts. And I know that I've actually taught myself a couple things just by using these links. So really good resource or reference material.
Excellent. So speaking of resources, we also have some additional resources for you. What we're talking about here is taking your use of your Business Central to the next level. And there are all kinds of opportunities for continuing to add automation or improve efficiencies by using Business Central to its max. Do you even know what those are? Or do you even know how well or in depth you're using the system? And how do you compare to other users? Would you say that you think you are optimizing the system to its max, or you're using the system at its very basic level, or you have no idea? So at NewView Strategies, we actually have a self-assessment scorecard, which allows you to, on finance and warehousing, and we continue to roll more and more out. But what it does is it allows you to go in and on your own, answer some questions and grade yourself compared to other users and their use of Business Central and all the tools available. If you don't want to do that and you just want to ask some of the NewView experts your questions, yes, we're going to have Q&A on this topic at the end of this session, but on April 29th, we're going to have an Ask the NewView Expert session at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you go to our website, you can definitely log in or get the information on that. So it doesn't need to end here, whether it's through the Power community, whether it's through docs.microsoft.com, or whether it's through NewView Strategies. There are so many opportunities to use Business Central to enhance your system's support of your business and make your job easier. And you know what? If you're sitting there thinking there's got to be a better way and you're frustrated, go out there and look, because there probably is. Carrie, anything you want to add?
You took the words right out of my mouth there. I was just going to say, yeah, if you're, using your Nav or your Business Central and you think, man, there's got to be an easier way for this, there probably is. But at the same time, you might not know what you don't know until, you're told or someone shows you or you discover it. So that's why I think that scorecard is awesome, to actually see what's available that you might not be utilizing, as well as, if you think there might be a better way for something, that's a great thing to ask the NewView experts, because most of us have probably used that functionality for many years and have a lot of our own insights and things to share. So definitely some great resources here.
Yeah, you make a good point. You don't know what you don't know. So exactly. It's even with docs.microsoft, if you're searching for something, what do you even search for? So I think the self-assessment scorecard is really cool. And these events like what Power Communities is putting on for us here, to have all of this information in one place, to pique your interest, to learn something, to take something back right away and use it. So we're going to move on now to our Q&A, and looking forward to answering any questions that you might have. And let's take it away.
Let's do it.
Okay, thank you for everybody who kind of hung out with us here so late in the day on a Friday. We did have a question there that I see, which is, what is the limit of the report layout, filtering, grouping by keys, formulas? Actually, the Word layouts are very simple. It's just a matter of grabbing data that already exists on the linked data item. So for example, if it's an invoice report that you're printing, it's just going to be getting the invoice information from the posted invoice, from the header and from the lines. So there's not really a lot that we can do with this filtering or grouping. It's not for that type of report. I hope that answers your question.
I have a question.
You do?
I do.
Okay.
And it's actually, one, I think, who's not going to forget that report number now, 1306, but two, for the organizers, a lot of great resources included in Cynthia and Carrie's slides there. How do they get access to those slides? I don't know.
Hello.
Are they going to be?
Yes.
Hi. Well, first of all, thank you so much, guys. Making this happen and helping round off the first day of the event. So first of all, thank you so much. And in terms of sharing the resources, please, we ask all the speakers to share their contact information, website links in the chat window so people can have access to them. We'll also be sharing the videos after the event as well. So yes, so please share the links in the chat window. so that and also any social media information so people can stay in touch.
Great. There have to be more than just one question. We have enough people on here to have more than one question or comment, or maybe share how you're doing something similar that we haven't already touched on. Anybody want to share? That mean we answered all of the questions in our presentation?
I was going to say, Cynthia, we must have just done such a good job that no one's got any more questions.
I hope it doesn't mean that nobody cares.
They're all updating their report layouts right now.
Well, that's very true. And what report number is that?
Everyone together. 1306.
1306.
All right, so unfortunately, I didn't know to place the slides out on a public share before we started, so I put an email address in the chat there. If you would like the slides, we'll get them right over to you. Thank you very much. I got another question.
Yeah, we do. What's the difference between RDLC layout and Word layout?
Okay, so RDLC layout, you do need, I believe it's Visual Studio or the RDLC report editor to make changes to it. And the RDLC layout is much more robust than our old report layouts. However, it doesn't, it's not something that's easy for the end user to use with a familiar tool like Word. The limitations of Word are that we are limited just to just a few data items. And as someone asked earlier, you know, the filtering, the sorting, that type of thing, can't really do that in Word. So think of Word as your layout for your customer facing simple documents that are relaying what's already posted in the system or order confirmations, that type of thing. So our documents with the header and the lines, relaying those to the customers. RDLC is more common for other reports in the system. And hopefully, and I cannot pronounce that first name, I will butcher it. I've answered your question. Okay, so let me ask this. Do me a favor and, you know, just kind of do a, I don't know, we can't really do raised hands, but just say yes in the chat if you've actually learned something today from this session that you didn't know before. Obviously, you learned something new. So if you can just pop in the chat, yes, I would love to see that we've had some people who have learned something that they can take back.
Hey, look at
We have
that.
one. That's all it takes. Yes. Hey, Steve. Great. Good to see you. Excellent. I love hearing these little beeps. Awesome. All right, just a few. Okay. How many learned something today, right, from this great Power Communities Bootcamp? Oh, I love it. Yes, yes, yes. Excellent. Okay, so this was worth it then. I just like to know, it's really hard in this virtual environment, isn't it, guys, to not see faces and not, I love it. And not, I see a face now. That's great. To not see faces, right? And it's something, you know, we've done these in-person conferences for so many years, and we're adjusting to this virtual environment. The neat thing about the virtual environment is we have people from all around the world, I think. How about everybody put in what country they are sitting in right now as they attend this session? If you don't mind sharing in chat, I think it'd be really cool to see.
The head nod from Abraham Lincoln just made my day.
Yes, exactly.
That's fantastic. Morocco.
Oh my gosh.
Nigeria. Good golly. We're covering a lot of continents here.
Wow. This is amazing.
India.
I'm
not that good with the time zones, but it's got to be an odd time in India, late at night.
Thank you, everybody, for staying up late to watch this session. Appreciate it.
Wow.
Excellent. Now, let me ask one more question, and then if anybody else has questions, let me know if you are now possibly not emailing invoices and you are looking at emailing the invoices and or you're emailing invoices and you've realized that you're missing an opportunity to touch your customers one more time in a more significant way than just asking for money. So just go ahead and reply yes. If you're still coming in with countries, that's great. But yes, you're going to do something different with your emails, or you're going to begin emailing to begin with because you haven't before.
A lot of the folks from outside the U.S. may not know that it's still fairly common to be sending paper invoices here in the States. So we're certainly dragging in that respect.
Yeah, and we wait to get
Pushing along,
paper
though.
checks back to pay them, right?
And paper checks. Yeah.
Right. But I think that's where I'm saying, you know, maybe it's not that emailing invoices is new to you, but emailing invoices that have a touch or a little more of a personal feel or something to create an interaction with your organization. Because we're so virtual now, maybe we've had a sales force that's not out there seeing people. So, you know, what can we do to keep that connection with our customers by delivering either personal messages, and when I say personal, something that matters to them, or linking them and pushing them back to your website. Because I think we all want to increase SEO. So if we can get our customers coming into our website regularly for more information, so give them just enough in that email body to make them want to go to the website to learn more, your marketing department is going to just love you. Is there a limitation in Word compared to RDLC? Let's say to show totaling per page. Yeah, so again, Word layouts are very limited. You're not really going to be sending something that's totaling. You're not going to be sending something that's a list of, let's say, customer ledger entries. You're really just representing like a sales posted, or what is it, sales invoice header, sales invoice lines, right? Whatever the report that's underlying is giving you as a data item. So if you can do it in a Word layout, so just think of it that way. If you can do it in a Word layout, for any other data, you can do it here. But again, I don't think of Word layouts as a means to make pretty reports about ledger entries and sales data and that type of thing. That would be RDLC. And if anyone wants to pipe up and share any more information regarding that, you know, if they can answer that question in an additional way. I'm functional. I'm not a developer. The Word layouts are, I don't know how they're saved. I think they're connected. I think it's more of a link. I don't know the answer to the question. The question is, we know that RDLC reports are saved as report objects. What about those Word layouts? I know they're not saved as report objects, but I don't know how they're saved. That's where we have that layout and then we update. So they are not created, they don't make objects. Now, remember what I had Carrie remind me, 1306 is the object, right? So 1306 is the report object. That's doing the heavy lifting. All the Word layout is doing is it's presenting the information provided by object 1306 in a way that I want it to be presented because I did it as a Word layout. So I don't know if that helps you. It's two pieces. Same thing with the RDLC. 1306 is the report. I could have an RDLC layout using that report writer to create what the report looks like, but the underlying heavy lifting is done by the object 1306. I hope I said that properly for everybody. Does that help you understand it a little bit better? Maybe not.
Oh, you got some.
Right. Very nice.
Excellent. Thank you. Oh, these where are all these gifts and whatever? I got to figure out where these all come from. I don't have anything that fancy. Okay. Any other questions? All right. This has been great, everybody. Thank you for hanging out so late.
And hopefully we'll see everyone tomorrow too.
Yep.
Thank you once again, Cynthia, Carrie, Mark, and team. And again, like as they mentioned, they will be back tomorrow. And we have 2 tracks tomorrow, functional and developer. And I'll be sharing that information shortly. I'm sure most of you want to get some rest because we start very